So welcome everyone. We have today the pleasure to be here at the Craneworks office to discuss retail media in the Nordics, and we have a very esteemed panel with us today, and let's start with a round of introductions. Sami, will you please take it away?
Okay. I'm Sami Käyhkö, CEO of the Craneworks and also head of the board in Doohlabs. And in Craneworks we have done now 21 years of digital signage, Dooh first and then retail media also. So lots of, that kind of experience.
And luckily this is not an all-male panel. So Hanski, your turn.
Yeah. Hi everybody, I'm Hanna-Leena Koskinen, or you can call me Hanski as you guys do, and you Riina also. I work at the Nordic media company called Ale Media Nordic, and there I'm in charge of the latest and newest exciting business area, namely Nordic retail media business. I have a background of over 7 years in retail media, and that brings me the angles I'm going to bring into this table today.
We are extremely excited to hear your insights. And then we still have Teemu.
Yes. So I'm Teemu Kurri. I'm the Chief Growth Officer in Doohlabs. Doohlabs is an in-store retail media platform designed here in Nordics and sold globally.
Exactly. And you guys are the masterminds of the software.
Yes.
Behind the screens. Excellent. Today we are going to discuss Nordic retail media in terms of what it is, how it's done, and what the future is going to look like. So what is Nordic media from your perspective? How would you describe retail media from a Nordic angle? And let's start from Teemu.
Okay. So, retail media, it originated from online. It's not an in-store thing, but the biggest ones who started were the Amazons and Walmarts and so on. So there weren't any big e-commerce actors in the new Nordics as such. But then there was the actors for in-store retail media, and especially in Finland there were some global forerunners who started actually doing in-store retail media before it was called retail media at all.
Right. Maybe there were some exceptions, right? Some grocery chains that could maybe have been...
Yeah, sure. Well, S Group was one of them.
Yeah. Former employer.
Yeah, I know S Group started experimenting in 2016 and scaled 2019. 20.
Yeah.
But so it's a fairly new thing here. But Hanski, you would know more about this. You are now in the forefront of Nordic retail media.
Yeah, I think that the current state would be that it has been for 10 years mostly originated from, especially in Finland, from the in-store retail media, where these guys know all about that. But the concepts that the two big retailers here in Finland have been building have been mostly multi-channel concepts, meaning that of course the point of purchase is really important, but there are also other touch points around the consumer buying path. So I would say that, and I think Teemu, you agree with me that the Finns are forerunners in the multi-channel retail media concepts. Because if I compare the situation, for example, to Sweden, I think that their retail media is still on the online phase. For example, retail media networks, they are mostly only online networks. But yeah, how do you see it, Sami?
Well, yeah, it's true that in Finland we are forerunners, and we are now also in Swedish market, so I have some insights from there. And yeah, online is much bigger in Sweden. There is some in-store also, but it's not done in the same way as in Finland. So it's mostly based on the basic digital signage doing and platforms, which are lacking the actual retail media specific tools. And that's why we went actually to the Swedish market also to bring our tool set also in that market.
Do you feel like retail media in the Nordics has been somewhat gatekept in the past, that it hasn't been accessible to all?
Yeah, I think. And actually, Teemu and myself, we have been digging into this topic, and we have noticed that there has been like 3 waves in which the retail media have been evolving. The first wave was that the big, mostly grocery retailers, they have been building up their closed ecosystem only for their suppliers and other operating partners. The next wave is already emerging. It means that also mid-sized players, other companies, maybe mid-sized retailers or other companies, businesses that are doing consumer business would want to also tap into this really high margin retail media revenue. And the third wave also is coming up quite soon. It means that these different companies or new retail media or commerce media owners would join forces and formulate these retail media networks that gives, for example, for the marketers, whole new possibilities to reach certain audiences in a certain context.
Yeah.
It's much broader. You can, not just the buying path, but like a consuming behavior path. You can dig into deeper that and market in that context.
Yeah, I completely understand. And I think some of you have at some point told me that in the Nordics, many retailers, they struggle with low margins because there's so much competition.
Yeah, indeed.
So in this Nordic angle, would you agree that then this retail media solution is the way to get those margins higher?
Yeah, indeed. The margin thing is one crucial thing because the margins can be something from 75 to 85%, which is totally different level of margin than what the retailers do with their normal grocery stuff, what they are selling. But I think the other thing here is that the small and mid-sized retailers, they cannot form their own retail media network as such alone. But when you're combining different kind of smaller and mid-sized retailers, you actually get audiences that can be sold together for advertisers, and that's the interesting.
Yeah, that's right. The Nordic audiences are not that big that they are elsewhere in Europe or in the States.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fascinating, and let's dive into that deeper a little bit later. Why would you say that retail media is extremely relevant now, specifically in the Nordic region? Is it because it's now happening, and if you're not amongst the first movers, then you're gonna snooze and lose, so to speak?
Yeah, I would say that for every marketing director, there's a tremendous pressure to prove the ROAS, return on ad spend, and ROI, return on marketing investment. And retail media is a data-driven, it has a closed-loop measurement. It's the only media group where you can actually define the incremental sales uplift of a marketing action. So I think that's why the momentum is now, because I think that the marketing budgets are not going to grow. Vice versa, they're going to decline and so forth. So you would need as effective media as possible.
Indeed.
How do you see the costs of campaigns like this finding their form, so to speak? Is there going to be fluctuation in terms of how much money people will have to put into these? And are you going to get an advantage maybe if you're amongst the first movers rather than waiting for this, maybe it's the second wave that you mentioned, to happen?
Yeah, I think that the inventory at first would be not that big. But of course, if you would want to be the first one, you would possibly get some advantage. But the price points and all that stuff, because the whole industry is lacking currently standards. So I think that there is going to be, at first it's going to be like a premium priced media.
Right.
Because of the special traits that it has.
Exactly, and maybe even like a wild west of price points to begin with. Maybe
there's another angle on the price point. If we are thinking how most of the retail media, companies are doing it now, they are doing it in the old-fashioned way. They are just selling loops, weekly loops, and 10-second places in the loop, and they are mostly sold for everyone, all the audiences. And of course, that's very expensive if you want to reach everybody. But your product is probably not interested on everybody. So when we get the data in, we can make audiences and we can target only those audiences that are relevant for your product. So basically, you are not anymore paying for the extra groups. You are only paying the customers you want to target.
Yeah. There's also that in-store is not that saturated media environment that online is. The ones that now get into it, so they get noticed, and that's a big difference.
Yeah.
That's actually very well put, I would say. That this is now the impact that you're going to get by being a first mover.
Yeah.
You're going to get noticed. And Teemu, how do you see the economic area of the Nordics? And we were talking audiences here. Do you have any insight to add?
Well, of course, population-wise, Nordics is a big area, but there's also the buying power,
Yes.
which is relatively high compared to other parts. So it's when we combine the markets for retail media, it's very interesting for advertisers.
Exactly. And not just in the Nordics. If we venture out just a little bit more, it's growing in Europe also, right? So I guess the trend is not going to be declining anytime soon.
Well, the total retail media market size now is about $170 billion.
Yeah.
So, and maybe even $200 billion. So it's big and it's growing over, I think, 15-20% per year.
Yeah, the prognosis would be that next year it's 22% year-over-year growth in Europe. It's IAB Europe's prognosis, and when you compare it to the traditional media market growth, in Finland it's flat or negative, but in the European region in general it's like plus 5% or something like that. Double digit versus
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So missing out is actually a pretty big deal.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and they say that also that the shift would be happening from the traditional media. So because the marketing budgets are not going to grow.
Yeah.
Right.
Print and TV is suffering mostly.
Yes, all the traditional medias.